Welcome, everybody. All right, recording is in progress. Now it better be good. We can't screw it up now that we're being recorded. All right, we're gonna continue on with closing skills. So as people continue to jump on the call, for those of you that don't know me, my name is Aaron Klapper with eXp Realty, and this call is all about agents helping agents. Everybody from all brokerages, everyone's invited to this call to participate, to learn how to be better at their job, to be a better real estate salesperson. And the better you do, the better I do, the better we all do, the better the industry does. And it's just better for everybody, right? So when agents help agents, we all succeed. There's no reason to be greedy with information. The more we share information, the more we help each other, the better it is for all of us. So we're going to continue on our conversation with closing skills and how to be a better closer. Hey, Ellie. And there you go.
Sorry about that. How's it going?
So with regard to closing, again, we mentioned this last week. Closing does not have to be anything stressful. You know, I have to push somebody to ask for a signature. I've got to force them to sign a contract. Closing does not have to be like that. One thing that we mentioned on last week's call was closing, in most cases, is just the ending to a great presentation. It's a natural ending to a great presentation. So a lot of times we can just present wonderfully, and this is presenting on a listing presentation. It can be on a prospecting presentation. If you call an expired listing, if you present to somebody at an open house, somebody comes into your open house and you're presenting yourself professionally, and now you want to close for an appointment. It's a natural ending to a great presentation. If you show yourself to be a powerful agent, an informed agent, somebody that has access to off-market inventory, you know, somebody that is a professional at an open house, it's very easy to close for an appointment. They want you to do that. They want to work with you. So remember that closing, in many cases, in all cases, it is a natural ending to a great presentation. It's nothing more than that. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to have some super sly skills, some ninja tactics. How am I going to close? How am I going to get the sign? So let's keep that in mind. So let's move on to the first point for today is, remember, a great appointment is when the prospect needs the services that you have to offer, and they can see that your services will help them achieve their goals. That makes the close quite simple. Okay, so when you're meeting with a prospect, this is a listing appointment, it's a buyer appointment, it's any appointment whatsoever. What makes it a great appointment, right? What makes it a great appointment? When they see that they need the services that you have to offer and that your services are going to help them achieve their goals. So a lot of times, guys, do we ever walk into an appointment just thinking about ourselves? How can we get them to sign a contract? How can we get them to buy a home? How can we get them to do a deal so that I can make more money, so I can do the deal, so I can, you know, move further ahead? How about putting your prospects first? How about putting your clients first? And I know you guys do that. I mean, I'm not saying we're all greedy. We're not. Clearly, you guys come to this call because you want to improve, you want to grow, and I know you care about your clients. But let's put an even finer point on this. Let's put an exclamation point on this. If we can approach every selling situation, every client interaction, which is that we are delivering to our client a service that they truly need and that is going to really help them achieve their goal, then the close becomes very, very simple. Next point, being a good closer is more about attitude, enthusiasm, confidence, and belief than it is about using strong words to intimidate the prospect. So there's a saying out there, everyone secretly wants to be led. I don't know if you guys ever heard that. Everyone secretly wants to be led. And what that really means is when you present something with confidence, when you present something with a good attitude, when you present something with enthusiasm, when you present something with true belief, right? If I'm presenting something to Daniel, and I truly have confidence and belief that what I'm sharing with him is true, he can't help but to want to follow my guidance. And then the close becomes easy. So when we're talking about closing skills here, that's what today's talk is all about. Today's discussion is all about. So in reference to closing, do you need to have some fancy script about getting somebody to sign a contract? Well, it's more about attitude and enthusiasm and confidence and belief. Next point. Don't be afraid to be direct when asking for a signature. You don't have to be hard. You don't have to be difficult, but you can be direct. Does anybody have trouble with this? You know that time in a listing appointment when you've gone through the presentation and you come to the end of the presentation? Does anybody have any trouble asking for a signature? Is that a hard thing for you guys to do? Raise your hand if you're very amiable and it's hard for you to say, ask for a signature. Would you sign the contract, please? Michael Early is saying no. You got no problem with that, Michael, right? Unmute yourself.
No, I keep asking test questions all the way along. So when we get to that question, it's another one that they have to answer.
Tell us more about that, test questions.
Well, as we go along, we talk about like what we're offering the client as far as marketing or whatever it is. Does that work for you? Is that a good thing for you? Is that what you have in mind? You know, this is the kind of client we always try to target our listing presentation, thinking about who the possible client buyer is. And so we say to them, look at, why did you buy the house? You bought it because of this, this, and this, correct? Yes. Well, we want to find somebody who's like that. So we're not going to just throw it out against, blast out a bunch of marketing material. We're going to try to find it focused very hard to the person that we want, the person like you. Isn't that a good idea? Yes. So you think if we do more of this kind of marketing over that marketing, it's a good idea. Yeah, it's probably a good idea. So you get them involved in the presentation. And we don't have a set presentation. We don't have a book. We have a book that we can pull stuff out of, but we never put it in the table. We never show that to them. If they want to see something, we'll pull it out. But when we go get listings, we don't do presentations. We just go take listings. It's just how we do it. Mm-hmm. And if you just keep talking to them and having them tell you what they want, it's at the end, you just say, well, we don't have them sign right there, but we say, here's the document, DocuSign I'm going to send to you right now. Let's go ahead and walk through it and sign it.
Mm-hmm. So it goes back to this point. It sounds like you are not afraid to be direct with them. Mm-hmm. In fact, you're very direct and you're asking these test questions all along throughout the presentation. I think a lot of agents, the reason why the close is so difficult is they're not very direct in their presentation. They don't ask direct questions throughout the presentation. They're just hoping and praying along the way. So based on what Michael's saying and what kind of this point is, just be very direct in your approach. So Danny, you've been door knocking on the Strand, right, recently. And are you being direct in your conversations with prospects?
I am.
In other words, you're there for a reason.
I'm there for a reason, right?
We listed a house on the Strand. I'm here to tell you about it. I wanted to know if you know anybody that wants to buy it or if you want to sell your place, right? Believe me, if you own a place on the Strand, you're fine with being pretty direct with people, right? You don't own a $10 or $20 million piece of real estate because you dance around the subject, right? So the more comfortable you can be, the more direct you can be, the better results you're going to find that you get. It's kind of freeing. It's kind of liberating. Let's just be direct with people. So if you follow a listing presentation, some sort of presentation, and if you follow some sort of pre-qualifying script, and you understand their motivation, and you present value, then the close becomes easy. If you don't understand their motivation, if you don't have any sort of scripting. Now, I understand, Michael, maybe you don't follow a script, but you've been doing this so long, you have your own script, right?
Yeah.
You kind of know the rhythm of it. But for those of us that haven't been doing it for as long as you've been doing it, there has to be some degree of protocol that must be followed. So if you pre-qualify a buyer and a seller, if you understand what their motivation is, and you get to the presentation and you deliver value, and you're following this program, then the close becomes easier. If you show up and you're winging it, and you haven't asked the questions, and you're not following a program, then it becomes more difficult. Okay, next point. Always assume that they're going to sign your contract at the end of your presentation. This is speaking specifically about a listing presentation. Always assume that they're going to sign your contract at the end of your presentation. You can make this assumption by following your scripts, by nodding and smiling, by staying on track and asking a lot of questions. So even if, if all else fails, at least be assumptive, right? Even if you're not like super confident, even if you're not super aggressive, at least be assumptive. At least be assumptive. Nod your head, smile, and just assume you're going in there to sign a contract. And in some cases, they will, because you are. Next point, in selling and in closing especially, the only no that counts is the last one before you quit. The only no that counts is the last one before you quit. Anybody call expired listings or done that in the past? Anybody tried that in the past? So when you call expired listings and you're asking them for an appointment, that's the point of the call, and you're closing for an appointment, right? And they're telling you, no, I don't want to list with you, right? You just accept that no, you're done. So you have to have closes to be able to set that appointment. Hey, before you get yourself tied up in a multi-month contract for thousands of dollars, don't you think you owe it to yourself to get just one more opinion? All I need is 15 minutes. Let's set an appointment today. No, I still don't want to list. I still don't want to meet with you. Well, I can appreciate that. And why did your last agent say your home didn't sell? Well, they said because this, that, or the other. Well, that's funny. While your last agent was making excuses, I sold 6 homes. All I need is 15 minutes of your time to show you how I do it. Which is better for you, Thursday or Friday at 4? You have to be able to have these closes ready. No, I still don't want to meet with you. I still don't want to meet with you. Well, I can appreciate that. So let me ask you a question. Why do you think some agents sell a lot of houses while others don't? Well, I don't know. Well, that's exactly why we need to get together. I'll show you exactly why I sold, 20 homes in the last 6 months while yours was on the market. Let's set an appointment today. These are just random expired closes that you have to have up your sleeve as you're calling expired listings, right? But the bottom line is the no is not relevant unless I take that to heart and I quit. No, I still don't want to meet with you. Okay, I appreciate that. While your home was on the market, I sold 16 homes. Do you want to sell your home? Then you need a different approach. Let's set an appointment today. Like, I'm just saying the same thing in different ways, but the point is I'm not taking no for an answer, right? So the last no before you quit is the only one that counts. Otherwise, no's are completely irrelevant, and you just keep pushing and keep pushing and keep pushing. Next point for closing skills. Don't be afraid to smile and use humor to break the tension. Because there's always tension on a presentation. Humor is like absolutely magical. So Dave Buss, I feel like you use humor a lot in your presentation with clients, don't you?
I would say it depends on the client, Aaron. I mean, certainly I can, and it's certainly a direction that you can take it, but you have to read the room and you have to know who the client is before you start cracking jokes, because they're, not everybody's wired the same.
Right. But we were talking about like commission cutting a few weeks ago, and you said something funny. You're like, you said like, do you want to go eat in an empty restaurant? I thought
Right.
that was so
Well-
funny. I was like, that's actually pretty funny, and it's true. It's like, no, I don't want to eat. I want to eat in a busy restaurant. Therefore, I want to go to a busy realtor, and I
Right.
want to pay more, and that's fine. It's like there's a time and a place for humor to relieve a little bit of the tension.
For sure. And especially for the younger and newer agents, it's important to understand that successful people want to deal with successful people. They don't, I mean, sure, they're going to fish to get you to cut your commission, but if you basically say, look, I'm a successful guy, or gal, and this is the fee. It's not any more than standard. It's not any less than standard, but I get the job done, so I deserve the same compensation as anybody else.
Mm-hmm. Good stuff. And so the point is really that Dave always makes me laugh. That's why I kind of brought him up, and he's just funny. But humor does have its place. It's not that you have to have a repertoire of jokes and you're trying out material on people, but it also doesn't have to be totally serious. You can smile, you can laugh, you can break the tension with some degree of humor. And I think we always, anybody that knows me, we do try and laugh a little bit. When we talk about stuff privately, we talk about serious stuff, and then we also laugh a little bit, because it does break tension, and it does make things more palatable and more fun when you can, inject a little bit of humor or levity. A little bit of lightness to any situation is always helpful. All right, next point. They expect you to close to get a buyer to sell their house, to buy their house, I should say. So this is, again, being on a listing appointment. When you're on a listing appointment, they expect you to close to get a buyer to buy their house, right? If they were to list the home with you, they expect you to close to get the buyer to buy their house. Therefore, they would also expect for you to close on them the same way, right? So if you're sitting on a listing appointment with somebody and it's time to sign a contract and they're not ready to sign, you could even say to them, listen, I want you to imagine that you were to hire me to sell your house, right? And I'm sitting here 2 weeks from now, and I'm in the house with a buyer right here in the living room, and the buyer's saying, I love the house. I'm just not sure if it's the right house for me, or if I want to pay this much for it. Would you want me to close on this buyer, to ask them and help them to buy this house for the top amount of money? Would you want me to do that? Would you expect that from a great agent? And they'll say, yeah, absolutely. That's why I would be hiring a great agent, because I would want them to close on a buyer to purchase this house. And you could say, great, then I'm going to display to you right now how I do that with you. We'll practice, we'll rehearse that a little bit, okay? So I'm going to ask you to sign the listing agreement. Fair enough? Like, you can just make a joke out of it, make a game out of it. I've used this before, and it's actually kind of fun, because I'm just like calling a spade, right? You want me to be a powerful agent with the buyer. That's why you'd be hiring an agent. Let's play a game here, okay? I'm going to show you how powerful I can be, and I'm going to ask you to sign the contract with me for this listing today. They're like, okay. I'm like, you ready? All right, let's go. Go ahead and sign the contract. And I'm like, okay, you throw an objection at me, and then I'm going to ask you to sign the contract again. They say, okay, I'm not ready though. Okay, great. What are you not ready for? Tell me about some things you're thinking about. And we'll just play this little back and forth game until they sign the contract. But I've almost asked permission in advance to get them to do that. The bottom line is they expect you to be a closer. They're expecting a strong salesperson. They're expecting somebody with some confidence and belief in the process. So you can go ahead and show up that way and be totally comfortable with that. That's what they want. That's what they're looking for. You have to believe in your own value as a salesperson to get the customer to believe in you and your value as a salesperson. So that begs the question, do you believe in yourself? Do you believe that you're a great salesperson? Like, seriously, do you actually believe that you're a great salesperson? If you do, perfect. If you don't, we should work on that. If you don't, we should really work on that and really help you to understand what makes you great. Does anybody have any question in their mind that, I don't know if I'm that good of a salesperson? Anyone feeling that? And if so, let's bring that up and discuss it so that we can support you with that. Anybody have any reservations, or do you all feel comfortable that you are the right person for the job.
Hi, Aaron, Linda.
Yep.
Yeah, so I feel comfortable that I'm the right person for the job. It's just, how do you prove that to them?
Do you feel like they doubt you? I mean, your clients list with you and they buy with you, right?
Yes. No, I don't feel that they doubt me, but I'm thinking about moving to a different price point. And one of my concerns is, if they're savvy people, they're going to look you up and research you and see what you've been selling. And, they're going to say, well, you've been selling mobile homes. What makes you think you can sell my $1 million house? Well, I can. So how do you prove that?
So my first suggestion is, I don't even think that will happen.
Okay.
So the first kind of wrong turn that you're making is right here mentally. You're
Okay.
assuming that that's an issue.
Okay.
Because I started out selling homes in Torrance and Gardena, and then moved up to Redondo and Hermosa, Manhattan, and PV, and everywhere else. But
Mhm.
if you show up with confidence and belief, then people just assume, hey, listen, when you go to a doctor's office and they show up in their white coat, even if you've never met them before, you have certain assumptions about that doctor because they show up in the white coat.
Yes.
You assume they know what they're doing. You assume they can fix you, whatever your problem is. You'll
Mhm.
even take off your clothes and get naked if they ask you to, right? You don't know these people. There's like strip, you're like, okay. So, and that's because of their presentation, right? It's a fancy office. They have their plaques on the wall. They have the white coat, has their name embroidered on the lapel, and that's it. So in most cases, when we show up to a prospect's house, we have cold called them or we have door knocked them. They don't know us from Adam. They just know that we reached out to them. We're showing up. We're presenting. We have confidence. We have belief. We know our stuff. We're asking great questions. We list and we sell the property. It's literally that simple. They don't know us. They don't know our history. They haven't looked us up. We're just pushing forward, and that's all. So I wouldn't even question it. I wouldn't have any kind of doubt in your belief. I would come back with that question. If it actually really happens, then we can talk about it. We can come up with a game plan. It's never happened to me, not once in 20 years. So I don't even think it's an issue.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah. Next point is ask for the order at least one more time than you're comfortable with. Ask for the order at least one more time than you're comfortable with. So if you're prospecting a for sale by owner or an expired listing and you're asking for an appointment and they keep saying no and you're getting real uncomfortable, ask for the appointment one more time than you're comfortable with. If you're on a listing presentation and you're at the end of the presentation, ask them for a signature one or two more times than you're comfortable with. Ask for the order one more time than you're comfortable with. You are the professional salesperson, they are not. The reason why you ask it one more time than you are comfortable with is because a lot of times people will throw up these objections as a smokescreen, but as you ask for the order one or two more times than even you are comfortable with, they'll just fold and say, okay, fine, yeah, I'm ready to sign. Let's go ahead and do it. Remember, you're the professional. You have to believe in yourself and your own value if you expect to get paid on a regular basis. Just like what we were discussing with Linda, I mean, this is really, it all starts with belief. Very easy for someone like Michael Early to have belief because you've had so much success over so many years, decades of success. Well, you have a track record of success that you can rely on. And everyone's saying to themselves, well, of course, Michael, it's easy for you to have belief in yourself because you've had decades of proof. So how do you establish that level of belief in yourself if you haven't had decades to prove, that you can do this?
I think a lot of people just going into the business, or as they're young in the business, some of them are still older in the business, tend to look at the business differently than they should. We're not there to show property. We're there to sell property. And they get that mindset is important to have. Walking around saying this is the bedroom, this is the bathroom. They know it's a bedroom. They know it's a bathroom. They need somebody to explain to them why it's the right decision for them to buy this house. You know, when you talked before about saying, you know, the word no, you know, I forget who said it a long time ago, but I heard it decades ago, that no only means that you did not explain to them well enough why they should say yes. If they say no, it's your failure, not their failure, because you need to explain to them why they will benefit from whatever you're trying to help them decide. They want to say yes, you know, but they're tuned into when they walk in the door. No, I'm just looking. You know, they're not just looking. No, they wouldn't be there. And so it's your job to explain to them, to find out why. Like agents who have sat at my open houses and I've come to visit them, I've come in, I sat down with the client for 20 minutes on the couch and talked. And then I walk out and say, well, you know, Debbie took care of you, you know, she'll help you find the right house. And they're sold because we didn't talk anything about the house. We talked about their needs, their wants. When you get out of what you want, you know, get away from what in your head, what you want, what you need about yourself, think about what the client needs, what the client wants, you know, you'll have a much different perspective on selling. That is no longer you trying to get them to do something they don't want to do. It's explaining to them why they should do what they should do.
Mhm.
I don't know if that answers your question.
Totally does.
Yeah.
Yeah, it totally does. So you want to have some real belief and real confidence in your ability to serve people.
Hmm.
I think what Michael is saying is that be a great asker of questions and really determine how you can assist them in achieving their goals. Anybody can be a door opener. This is a
If you
kitchen.
become the investigator, you know,
Mhm.
investigate, find out why they want this house, why they came to this house, what they're looking for, what they want, nothing about what you want, but what they want. And then you help them fulfill their needs. And it becomes a partnership between you and them.
So one mindset to have around that is one question or something that I always keep in mind, my mind is, I really want to know. That is in my head. I really want to know. And whenever I'm talking to a prospect, I'm literally thinking that I really want to know. Like, I really want to know. So what's important to you? I really want to know. Where do you want to move to? Why do you want to be there? What's important about that? How soon do you have to be there? I really want to know. What's that going to do for you? How's that going to impact your life? How's that going to improve your life? I really want to know. And if you really want to know, then they're going to start to open up and share things with you that will help you to be able to serve them even better. And that is so much more valuable, like what Michael's saying, than just saying, here's the kitchen, here's the bathroom. Please, right? I know where the kitchen is and I know where the bathroom is. I don't need anybody to point that out to me. I'm not an idiot, right? But really understanding why it's so important to them to buy this property, or what's so important about them selling a property, or why this move is like going to be, it's just such an important thing for them and their family, what it's going to do for them. Then you really become a very powerful resource. Create urgency when asking for the appointment, and create additional urgency when asking to get a contract signed. So there's just, this business, is there competition out there, right? Are there more than one agent? Or everybody seems, if people are walking into your open house, are they probably walking into 3 or 4 others on that same day? If they're calling about one ad from a sign, are they calling about the other one down the street or 2 others down the street? Whenever you're in a conversation with a prospect, you must create a level of urgency to set an appointment or to sign a contract. There just has to be a level of urgency. We just can't have this, great, well, just think about it, call me when you're ready, right? If somebody is calling on your sign, if somebody's coming into your open house, there has to be a level of urgency, because there's probably 3 or 4 or 5 other agents they're going to talk to that day. Let the other agents not have a lack of urgency. Hey, I appreciate you guys coming in today. What I'd like to do is follow up with you and share some properties that we have upcoming that are actually off market. What's the best number for me to call you on? Let's go ahead and set an appointment later for this week where we can go take a look at some of those pieces of real estate. What days are you guys free to look at some of these pieces of property and really create some urgency, right? Create some urgency. And then the last point for closing skills is be sure to close a minimum of 5 times, since 80% of all sales take place after the 5th close. 80% of all sales take place after the 5th close. I don't know if you guys should be necessarily counting your closes. The point is that it's okay to ask for the order. It's okay to be direct. It's okay to tell people, what the next steps are, right? On a listing appointment. Hey, Sean, are you ready to go ahead and sign the contract? No? Okay, tell me what you're thinking about. You're not comfortable with commission? Let's talk about commission. We handle that objection. Great. Should we go ahead, or can we go ahead and sign the contract now? You ready to get started? No? What else is bothering you? Tell me, let's talk about it. Okay, the price. Let's talk about the price. Okay, great. Handle the price. Let's go ahead and sign the contract, please. You ready? You wanted a strong salesperson, right? That's what you said you wanted, right? And you can see that I'm strong. I just want to make you money, but we can't do that until we get started. So let's go ahead and sign the contract. Okay, you're hesitant, Sean. What else is bothering you? Oh, you want to talk to another agent? Okay, great. Tell me what's important about that. What are you expecting? What are you looking for in the agent you choose? I'm sitting right here. I have all those attributes, and I'd like to get started today. I'll call the other agent and tell him that you listed with me, and then we can just get started immediately. Fair enough? Let's go ahead and sign the contract. I'm doing this with a smile on my face. This doesn't have to feel gross. It doesn't have to feel aggressive. It can be fun, right? Sean, are we having fun yet? I mean, come on. I just want to get started. I want to help you sell this home, right? I hope you're not taking this in the wrong way, Sean. I mean, I'm aggressive, but I'm enthusiastic. That's why. And this is, believe me, when you hire a listing agent to help you sell your home, you want somebody like me, don't you? Isn't that what you're looking for? When you have a buyer coming through your house, do you want someone that's going to, aggressively sell to the buyer to make them push their price up as high as possible? Or do you want somebody that's going to say, oh, go ahead and look at the other 20 homes. We don't care if you buy this one or anything. We want somebody aggressive, right? All right, so let's have some fun here. Sean, I'm going to show you how aggressive I am. I'm going to ask you again to sign the contract, please. Let's go ahead and do it. Come on. It's really hard to say no, right, Sean? Isn't it? I mean, you're just sitting there. We're not even sitting across from each other, and it's like you're thinking, all right, just let me sign the damn thing. Like I'm squirming a little bit. He's got his pen ready. So, I mean, the point is that again, we inject a little humor. We have a little bit of fun, but it's not it's not a taboo thing. We can actually have some fun with this and some levity with this and still have a tremendous amount of success with this. Let's open up the floor a little bit and just kind of wrap a little bit about what you guys are dealing with, what challenges you're having, who's having some challenges in business, any aspect of the business that we can all as a group help out with. Any aspect, mindset, schedule, prospect, lead follow-up, appointments, contracts, anything at all that we can kind of like help each other with.
I got one. We have 2 listings that we let expire before we came over here, which they expired on the 13th. So it's only been 9 days. And I went to re-sign them with here. And he has another property, which 2 income properties. He had another property, which he was thinking about selling, but with someone else. And he decided not to relist these properties, to put the other property on the market and see if that sells. If that sells, he's going to keep these 2 properties as income properties. I'm wondering what kind of arguments I can give him to persuade him to go ahead and put this back in the market anyway and see what happens, with the other property on the market. He wants to wait till another 2 weeks to put the condo on the market.
The only thing that comes up in my mind, Michael, is to say something like, listen, the market is actually starting to change rather fast. And I would hate for you to make a decision 2 or 3 weeks from now, and then the window of opportunity closes. So why don't we go down parallel tracks, have them all on the market. Let's see how we do. Listen, just because we put it on the market doesn't mean you have to sell it. You're not obligated to do anything.
Right.
But I would just hate for you to miss the opportunity with the changing market. And then you're saying to me, then 3 or 4 weeks from now, you're saying, shit, Michael, we should have done that, and now it's too late.
Hmm.
I mean, it's the only thing that comes to mind, but
It's a good idea.
yeah, for what it's worth. Who else? What do we got? Who's got some challenges that they're facing with? Mindset challenge, a prospecting challenge. Matthew Barry, what's up, man?
Hey, so in the last 2 months, I've gotten more objections than ever about what brokerage I'm with. And I was wondering your take on explaining A, that it doesn't really matter, but B, the Power VXP. I never got this when I was on any team before, or even with Strand Hill, I didn't get this. I didn't get the EXP, like what, who, right? When there's a compass out there that does have great brand recognition. So what is your take on that?
It has never come up for me. I mean, people say, if I'm prospecting, they might say, what company is that? If anybody asks, then I would just say, oh yeah, it's the largest independent company on the planet. We actually have over 80,000 agents. And the reason why I chose to go to the company is because we have the most, the broadest technological footprint virtually on the planet. It just allows me to do a better job for all my sellers. Something like that.
Help on that question. What I've gotten, people ask, I mean, I can tell all day long to agents why they should come. What do we tell sellers why it's a better fit for them? Besides technology.
I know that, for instance, like when we moved over and when Kasky moved over and then Holly moved over, I mean, Holly had a Strand listing that she's like, okay, I'm gonna go talk to my Strand seller and tell them I'm moving away from Christie's and moving over to EXP. And she sat down with the seller, said, I'm changing companies. And they said, oh, no kidding. Why are you changing? He said, well, it's a company that is heavily technology based. It allows me to, be more collaborative with agents all over the world and just share my listings more efficiently. And they said, fantastic, congratulations, let's do it.
Okay.
So Sean says, I talk about it's the fastest growing brokerage in the world, and the emphasis, yeah, I mean, so I don't know that I'm actually fascinated that people are bringing that up, Matt. Let's hear hear more about this. Tell me more about it.
Listen, I'm trying to actually, I tried to do my best to avoid the question and say that it doesn't really matter. There's great agents and not great agents in every brokerage. What I'm trying to explain and find a good 1 or 2 liner is explaining the network and the power in who we're around on a daily basis between you, Ed, Dave, and etc. Right?
Well, honestly, the bottom line is, and this is because not everybody on this call is an EXP agent, and that's fine. You can be a Remax agent, you can be a KW agent, you can have an independent company, and that's fine. So these objection handlers work with any brokerage you're with. So let's take a specific example. Do you have somebody in mind that mentioned it?
Yeah, several people. I mean, someone coming to an open house, picking up a business card and just saying, like, oh, what is this brokerage? EXP, right? As a conversation starter. I mean, and they're people that live nearby, they're neighbors, nosy neighbors, but
yeah. Oh, so it's not even, it's more of a conversation.
But an important one where it's like it's almost an opening line of their conversation, trying to assume credibility on me, right? And I can go into talk about myself, but I don't want to avoid their question because they're
sure.
Why are you sidestepping your brokerage?
Yeah, no. So I would just say this is the fastest growing real estate brokerage of all time. In fact, we're the largest independent brokerage in all of North America. So it's a pretty big, pretty powerful company.
Yeah. Okay.
Done.
Is that by offices or numbers?
81,000 agents. It's
As
one.
opposed, you know what Compass and the other ones have?
Well, it's not a franchise model. It's one company.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, it's Remax. I don't know how many agents. Let's see, growing by 1,000 agents per week. Correct, Sean. But let's say you have your own independent brokerage, right? So Amir, Shane is on, and you have your own independent brokerage, and it's called Lux Realty. Is that right, Amir? Well, he's on mute, but let's just say he has his own brokerage. So they say, oh, I haven't heard of Lux Realty before. And you can say, well, it's a small brokerage. The reason why we chose to be with this brokerage, it allows us to give a level of service that the big branches don't allow. We can really cater to the needs of our client base like nobody else can. And that's why it was important to us, because we really care about our clients. And most agents, they just, it's just, well, like anything can be catered in any way, right? So to me, it's just another opportunity to present your confidence and your belief in who you are and what you do. And if it's not a big deal for you, it shouldn't be a big deal. If it's a conversation piece. Now, if you're on a actual listing appointment and somebody says to you, gosh, your brokerage doesn't have a lot of signs in my area. I haven't heard of EXP before. KW doesn't serve, let's say your KW doesn't serve the high end. I don't see any of your signs. Or Century 21 is in Torrance, but I don't see anything here in Manhattan Beach, or whatever your brokerage is. It doesn't really matter. Well, there's objection handlers for that. That's a different scenario. But I think what you're saying, from if I'm understanding, it's just you need to have a prepackaged, ready-made line to just share. This is who we are, what we do, right?
Yeah, and I think that's an awareness thing that I'm going through, is that we all know these different facts of the marketplace, of whatever the case may be, but it's different articulating it into one or two punchlines.
Yeah.
When they did that rent versus buy analysis, I was like, that's oftentimes the most complicated things can be formed into the most simplistic sentences, and it's like, right?
Yeah. All right. So how about this? Somebody says, "Oh, I've never heard of this." You've never heard of it? No kidding. Oh, we're the largest independent company in North America.
Yeah.
I guess you've heard of it now. You'll probably see it all over the place now.
Yeah.
That took about 3 seconds, right?
Yeah, it's interesting because when you grow your own brand, which is the goal here, Amir, Kasky, Klapper, Kaminsky, it becomes more powerful than the brokerage. But when you don't have that yet and you're creating that, you do rely on a name, brokerage name, or yourself. And when neither one of those are built up to the point where it's recognizable to the community yet, that's where I found it to be more difficult sometimes.
Well, I would say we'll give you a little paradigm shift, which is this: be open to the idea that that's kind of in your head, the importance of a brokerage and leaning on a brokerage. Be totally open to the idea that, back to what Michael was saying earlier about really being a real estate resource, when you can be there asking the right questions and showing the level of confidence that you can guide these people, right? Listen, what do sellers want to do? Sellers want access to buyers. And what do buyers? They want access to the right property. You find out what they need and you show them that you have the ability to deliver what they need. They don't care if you're with Remax, C21, EXP, or have your own brokerage. It's kind of irrelevant. They're thinking about themselves. I want to buy a house. Somebody show me the right house and I'll buy it. I don't care who you are. I don't care what color your skin is. I don't care what brokerage you're with. I don't care if you have, 4 nostrils. I just want a house, right? And if you're the person that has access to it, perfect. So yes, maybe they're making some conversation in the meantime, right? But you exude that level of confidence and you make that level of that high level presentation.
Because the truth is the real value is in the network and the exposure, period.
I think it's really just going back to the questions. Ed mentioned at one of our meetings, the 3 W's. Where are you moving to? When do you need to be there? And what's important about the move? And you keep digging deeper. So like, for instance, you were in an open house, somebody walks into the open house, they ask you about your company. All right, you answer, oh, we're the largest company in North America, great company, whatever. So tell me about you guys. What brings you in today? What are you guys looking for? Have you seen anything you liked?
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about your dream home. How long have you been looking? Have you made any offers? What's important about the place you buy? When do you need to be in it by? Tell me about your perfect place. And you really start to ask all these digging deeper questions and you really kind of look behind the curtain about what's really important and what their frustrations are, and you find out now that they had an agent, they made 14 offers, they didn't get anything accepted, and they're so frustrated and like, holy cow, I can see that. I can't even imagine how frustrating that is. So you really are, like, I'm going to deal with that person a little differently. We're going to cut through all the bullshit here. It's like, you're not looking for a whole song and dance. You don't
It's
really
great.
care.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
you
a
don't-
point. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, it's a great point to not, sometimes don't dwell on the objection. Sometimes moving right past it is the best and easiest way. It will go away sometimes, right? So I'm
Yeah.
saying, instead of engaging in this conversation, I like that approach of, yeah, we're the largest independent brokerage on the planet. Moving on to your next question in that same sentence. Moving the
Yeah.
conversation.
Yeah. Much more important to find out that they made offers on 6 houses. They didn't get any of them. They fired their agent. Now they're going to open houses on their own because they feel like they can do a better job. And it's like, holy cow, you guys have been absolutely raked over the coals. I can't, how are you still walking around with a smile on your face after having such a tough time? And like, I can really relate to how hard this process is for you guys. You're like, yeah, man, like, and they're thinking, this guy gets it. He gets it. He understands where we're at. He understands how hard this is for us. So that to me is much more powerful than what agency you happen to work for. All right, who else has got something that they're challenged with that we can try and support you with?
Can I also chime in something on that last topic?
Go for it.
Because something that's worked for me, because I've had a couple people ask when I'm doing my door knocking. And I've found that it's like, what helps is not so much what you say, but how you say it, you know, going back to the confidence, but also just the excitement. And it can go for whatever, kind of going what you're saying about whatever brokerage you're with, or if you have your own company, just showing that you are excited about the company that you're with will make them be excited about it also. Even if they've never heard of it, you just show your enthusiasm about it. They'll be like, oh, cool, that's awesome. I've found that people generally kind of mirror the excitement that I bring to them with my answer. And then we can move on from that.
In other words, enthusiasm sells. So I'll tell you how, I think I told you about this, Sean. When I was a brand new agent, I was in the business like 3 weeks. I went on an expired listing appointment to a lady in PV. I didn't even own my own car. I was brand new to the business. I knew nothing. I was with Century 21 at the time. C21, how many listings did they take in Palos Verdes? Like 0. So this lady, I went to her house for an appointment. Turns out she's actually an escrow officer. So she's been in the escrow business for like 20 years. I was 3 weeks in the business. And her previous listing agent was a close friend of hers that gave all of his escrow business to her. And he listed it at a reduced commission, 3.5% total commission. I was just so enthusiastic. I was so excited. I'd never been in $1 million property before. And I walked in there and I couldn't even contain my excitement. And I went in there and I listed the property at 6%. Not because I knew the area, not because I was with the right brokerage, only because I was enthusiastic. That was the only reason. Enthusiasm is so very contagious. So yeah, it's a great place to end. All right, guys. Thanks everybody for your participation. Look forward to talking to you next week. Keep crushing it. Have a great week. And let me know if you need anything in the meantime. Have a great one.
Thank you.
Take care, guys.
Thank you.